Viruses, the collective unconsciousness, and a mother asked if a 10-year-old daughter not doing things for herself are just stories in her mind. I'm going to answer these three questions and more. My name is Cindy Tevens, and I support a community of spiritual seekers who keep it real. So first, the mother. This is a 10-year-old who she said is not doing things for herself. So I asked, can you give me some examples of that? Here's the full question. If a 10-year-old who's not doing things for herself, is this also movies in the mind? Are they just stories that have been given the power of belief but aren't true? What the child is not doing is not getting dressed for school, packing and taking responsibility for her school bag, picking her clothes to wear, tidying her room, tidying up after herself if she does some baking, and putting away her toys. So now I have to give you a little background. This mother is talking about movies in the mind, which I've been teaching. What are movies in the mind? So movies in the mind are multiple things, actually. It's not just the voice in your head. It's not just the story that you're believing. Movies in the mind are much more than that. They are the things that you're seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling in the mind, not in the room. All right. So we experience the movies in the mind right in the midst of reality, what we'll call reality for now. Okay. I'm speaking on the beginner level. There is a different meaning for the word reality on a different level, but if I mean that level, I will tell you. Right now, I'm talking about the difference between what's in the mind and what's in the room. Okay. So there's what's going on in the room, and there's what's going on in the mind. And they are there or happening or existing simultaneously. And it's crucial to recognize both of them and to remove the movie in the mind. Because otherwise we are feeling and experiencing the movie in the mind and not realizing it's not what's in the room. It's not what's real. And what I mean by remove, we can talk about later. But the first thing, the most important thing, is to discern the difference between the two. And the difference is subtle to beginners. We spoke about this last night in my Reality Lover community webinar about removing the story from the mind. And doing that, you remove opposition from your mind. And removing opposition, you remove the defense or the attack or the fight stance, the sense of a problem, basically. And that leaves room for intelligence, for wisdom, for ecology, for the creativity that you have within you, for the best action, for the best outcome. And doing that, removing the mind, the story of the mind that somebody else is doing something they shouldn't be doing or not doing something they should be doing, it removes the emphasis from the story in the mind about shoulds and shouldn'ts and about others. And it allows you to take ownership for yourself. And this is what's needed, okay? So we need to own our own actions that are contributing to the situation. So rather than being focused on her, what she's not doing and what she is doing, and what are you doing? What are you not doing, right? First of all, how are you feeling? What movies are you running that get in the way of you being available to the situation, to your daughter also? So when we're running the movie in the mind that says, she doesn't pick up after, she doesn't take care of herself, this is what you're going to see instead of actually seeing your daughter, instead of actually seeing the situation, instead of actually seeing what's actually going on in each moment, because, each moment is actually different. Your daughter isn't the same daughter in your mind every moment, the one that doesn't pick up after herself. Your daughter and the situation is different every moment. But when we are in our heads about it, we are not different about it. We don't see the reality. We don't see the moment. And so you need to become self-focused, not other-focused. right? Because other focused, well, the other is up here in the head. It's a story. It is a movie. It is running concurrently. And unless you separate it out, you are living and running from the movie in your mind. You know, I was once asked by a couple to work with their daughter, and I asked them what for. And they said, well, she's, you know, always negative. She's always seeing the glass half empty and instead of full. And right away, what did I hear? Nothing about the daughter. I heard everything about the parents who are negative and seeing the glass half empty instead of half full. They're seeing their daughter this way. So if they are doing that and they are seeing it this way, what makes them think that they're going to see anything different on the outside with regards to their daughter? And what are they teaching their daughter? By example. And that's how children learn, right? So you become self-focused, not other-focused, so that you take ownership for yourself, for this moment, for being present, so that you have all of the information, not just your beliefs and your story about your daughter, who she is and what she does and doesn't do, so that reality is noticed. You can notice things you never noticed about your daughter before, that things that may be in her way, maybe on the outside, maybe in the room, but maybe you'll notice something, some expression. You may realize there's something going on with her within. And now you could be useful to her. Now compassion can arise. And that happens out of the whole ecology of reality, not the limited mind. So we have a saying, you know, look before you leap. It means to look where? What are we talking about? Look before you leap. Usually we mean think before you leap. So what are we doing? We're looking in the mind, right? Where all kinds of bad stories and feelings live and where bad actions may stem and arise from. Instead of that, okay, pay attention, learn to remove the movie in your mind. And that is how you love before you think, okay? Not look or look before you leap, which is really meaning look before you think. Love before you think, okay? And love before you look also. If you want your questions answered just like this, join me at spiritualcoachingfor7.com. That's where people are getting the priority, okay, questions. Question number 2, what is the collective unconsciousness and how does it affect the mind? So the collective unconsciousness is not a thing out there that is affecting your mind in here. The collective unconsciousness is believing the movies in the mind, the stories in your mind, right? And sharing them with other people, and they agree with it. So now they're supporting it. They're not doubting it. They're not questioning it. They're not talking about what else could be true. They're supporting it. So they're supporting your unconsciousness. If you go around spewing out your stories and other people are just supporting them for you, when are we as a society going to break through? We keep agreeing with our suffering stories, with our limitations, then we as a society, you know where it goes. This is why we have wars, atrocities, fights, arguments, disagreements. You know, we all agree with the reality. Where we disagree, where we fight is in the mind. And so what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about the collective unconscious? Well, you need to do something about your own individual unconsciousness and stop supporting the story in yourself and in others. We need to wake up from this individual and collective unconsciousness. Stop telling ourselves the same stories that keep us stuck in the same places and start questioning and doubting and looking for alternatives beyond the limited mind. How does the collective unconscious affect the mind? It keeps you stuck and it keeps you stressed and it keeps you suffering. So it looks like a vicious catch-22. We suffer so much, you know, and because of that pain, we use it to say, our suffering is real and true. This is one of the hallmarks and one of the problems of the collective unconsciousness. We believe it's real and true. We have others telling us it's real and true. Yes, that's terrible. That shouldn't have happened. Yes. And so we are confirming and affirming and solidifying what looks real to us. And we don't have to. We can do the exact opposite. We can break free. The other part of the question was how to stop mind viruses. Yeah. This question came up because I spoke about this last week. I mentioned mind viruses. How do you stop them? Number one, individually, wake up, discern, come to the program, learn to discern the difference between what's in the mind and what's in the room, because you don't know the difference. That's why you have problems inside and outside. Stop agreeing with your own bad feeling thoughts, doubt them and question them, and do not support others. There's a way, it's not easy at first. There's a way to support people, to love people, to have compassion for people and what they're telling you and how they're experiencing what they're telling you without agreeing with what they're telling you, without agreeing that it's a terrible problem and that there's no way out and that they're stuck, or, you know, it looks like empathy. It can be sympathy, which is even worse than empathy, but it is not supportive, actually, of peace, freedom, love, and joy. It's supportive of suffering. So we need to make the next move. We need to develop not just our intelligence or our emotional intelligence, but our conscious intelligence. Okay. And conscious intelligence is something I'm going to be talking about more and more and more. And it is this ability that you have to discern the difference between the mind, what's in the mind, and dreaming it and experiencing it like it's real and true, and the actual reality. We need to wake up individually and collectively. All right. If you want your questions answered just like this, join me at Spiritual Coaching for 7. It's spiritualcoachingfor7.com. You can use the number 7 or the word 7, doesn't matter. All right. Sign up there and I'll see you next week. You know what to do until we meet again. Keep it real.